There is no doubt about Germany trying to drain as much wealth from its subjects and from abroad as possible. This has a long tradition in Germany. After annexation of the Kingdom of Hanover by Prussia, the assets of the King of Hanover were confiscated and used by Chancellor Bismarck under the name of Reptilienfonds or Reptilefonds to bribe and blackmail the press. After the Franco-Prussian War, large sums of reparations were squeezed out of France. These had been used up till 1914 to boost the German economy in the Gründerzeit. So World War I came conveniently to again impose reparations on France. This of course failed due to resistance against German brutality and greed. After World War I, the German administration claimed that the war had been lost due to the Durchstoß, the dagger thrust, of the homeland against the front line. That meant the army had not been defeated but had to cease fighting because of lack of support. This dagger thrust tale led to systematic suppression and assassination of any differing opinion. At the same time, the Jews were used as scapegoats to unite the subjects of the German state. After openly having murdered any remaining opposition in the 1930s, the German administration felt ready to give German world domination a second try. But as we all know, this again failed during World War II, mainly because of many integral errors of the system established after World War I. Such errors were subjecting the whole economy to a system of planning with very little margin of freedom, violently squeezing out working power and goods from the occupied countries instead of paying, treating the working slaves as material which can be replaced easily. And the main error of the Third Reich, declaring the survival of the fittest as one of the two columns of the Nazi society. The other column, of course, being complete subordination of all aspects of life under the will of the state. These two principles, of course, are totally contradictory and led to a schizophrenic state of conscience of the German society, and ultimately to an unprecedented brutality supplemented by a state of not being able to decide anything at all without orders. In the end, Germans still were fighting when they could use the Berlin subway to dislocate from the West Front to the East Front. Since the invasion in 1944, Germany was secretly preparing for after the war. Propaganda was to fight with the United States against Russia. It's astonishing how fast German snitchers managed to divide the Allies and cause the Cold War. The Arab countries were worked on by Germans to instigate them against Israel to keep the survivors of the Holocaust busy fighting for their life. Meanwhile, the 50,000 Nazis who had escaped to Latin America infiltrated these societies. They destroyed the societies and the economies of these formerly rich countries. Probably Germany was able to drain much wealth out of this operation, from which Latin American countries only recently are recovering. This recovering obviously began when Germany, after 1989, turned its main interest on Eastern Europe. At home in Germany, the generation having been raised during the Third Reich as the master race was promoted to administrative positions. Since the 1950s, they were more and more substituted by millions of foreign workers producing goods and providing services. The generation master race then was free to follow its predetermined role as the rulers of the world, even if not as openly as planned.